pen lovers and stationery enthusiasts. It's Christy here, a snarky Wordsworth over on Instagram and Reddit, and today I am wicked excited. I'm going to be swatching my very first set of Lennon Tool Bar inks. I have really wanted to get some of these shades for so long. I primarily blame Lau over at Kanchan Crafts. Recently he did this amazingly thorough Lennon Tool Bar swatching video that had, it feels like almost every single ink that's available right now, but I just was really drawn to certain shades, and about 2 weeks ago or so, I finally placed an order at Atlas Stationers, and I picked up the 4 colors that I think drew me to them the most, and now I'm super duper excited to get to share those with you. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into the swatches. All right, ink number 1 is the color Bubble Tea. If you follow me over on Instagram, I have gushed about this shade so much. Pens and Cats has done some really beautiful spreads that feature some brown colored inks, and this was one that I just was obsessed with right away, like the second I saw it. So this, of course, was one of the very first inks I popped into my cart. Okay, as you can see, Bubble Tea is quite aptly named. It is a very light shade of brown. I think that it is perfectly legible, but I do feel like if you like a really dark, concentrated shade, this might be not your cup of tea, forgive the pun. It does have a little bit of shading, not too much, and it's one of those inks that has a very liquid consistency, but can feel a tiny bit dry. Right now I have it inked up in a Parker 51, and I'm having a lot of luck with it in that. But I had it in a Platinum 3776 fine, and I did find it was just a hair too dry for me in that particular nib. So, you know, I think it's one of those colors that you kind of have to play around with just to find like the sweet spot, what size nib works the best with it. But I do really love this shade, and I'm very happy that I picked up a full bottle because I 100% could see myself using this, especially for like journal entries and things like that. But yeah, definitely one that I am very much in love with, and I'm excited to show you once this swatch is completely dried down just how the subtle shading ends up looking. Okay, second bottle, and I know I'm going to butcher this. I'm so sorry in advance. I think is pronounced Feng Shi Ye. It is another shade of sort of grayish brown, and I know that I found it really lovely when I saw some swatches of it on the internet, and I'm definitely already quite enamored with it now, and after seeing it in person, so hopefully you will also enjoy it. So here is Feng Shi Ye. I love this color. So definitely you can see cooler than the Bubble Tea, and there's almost a bit of a velvetyness to the shade in my mind. It kind of makes me think of like deer antlers and like almost a softness you can touch. I don't know why that phrase like very much seems to fit this ink to me, but it absolutely does. There's some shading going on that I really, really appreciate. Again, it's quite a soft shading. It's not really super in your face, but it is definitely there. This is another lighter brown, but one that I find quite legible. I have this in my new Platinum 3776, the 18 karat fine nib or 18 karat medium nib, and it is absolutely stunning in it. It fits the pen really, really well, but it just flows beautifully. There's no dryness. It doesn't have any hard starts. It's really, really nice in that particular nib, and it looks amazing. I have a couple journal entries that are just stunning. They're longer than I normally would write, in fact, because I wanted to keep writing with this ink. So yeah, if you like that sort of soft, kind of cool brown, this Feng Shi Ye, I tell you, it is definitely a go-to ink for me from now on, I think. Okay, so I am really trying to get more invested in red tones of inks, and I've found that the whole like reddish orange kind of color scheme definitely speaks to me more than, you know, like the really vibrant jewelly reds. And this Wolfberry, I just think this is a stunner, man. Like, it's not crazily saturated, but it's definitely very present. It has that nice sort of orange warmth to it, but I definitely don't think it shades too fiery orange either. This is just a really, really nice, like, temperate reddish orange. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but you'll see. Let me just get the swatch down and I'll talk about it a little bit more. You know, as I look at this swatch of Wolfberry, it kind of reminds me of a less saturated Mont Blanc Petit Prince Red Fox. Like I said, definitely less saturated, but it has that same sort of tonal quality that made me immediately fall in love with Petit Prince. I just really, really like this shade of red orange, you know, and if you think about it, like the contrast with the white, like of snow or even on the page, it's just so striking. I really, I really also enjoy the formulation of this one. So with the four inks that I have from Lennon Tool Bar, I've found them all quite watery, and remember that watery does not equate like a wet feel. There are lots of like very watery inks that are actually like dry writing. But Wolfberry is a nicely, I would say, average to wet writer, and I think that this would work pretty well in almost any nib, really. I don't think that you would have like a hard start issue or anything, even like in an extra fine or, you know, in a posting nib. I think this would be definitely okay. And because it is, I would say, more vibrant than say the Feng Shi Ye or the bubble tea, you could definitely get away with that smaller nib size and still have no problem with legibility, I believe. So I'm definitely going to be trying this in some of my finest nibs just to see how it looks. So far, I've only done like a little bit of light memory keeping with it, but I've liked it in I believe I've tried it in a cursive italic fine so far, and that has been very, very nice. But I will pop it into one of my extra fine Kavecos and see how that goes pretty soon. Okay. Last but not least, red beans. So while it took me a little bit to decide on Feng Shi Ye and Wolfberry, I knew immediately that I wanted to pick up bottles of bubble tea and this red beans. Every swatching video I've seen of it, every blog post that I've seen of it, I have thought, wow, this color is absolutely stunning. And I, after seeing it in person, still feel the same way. So definitely excited to share this one with you. So this one really, really evokes that whole Adzuki bean vibe that I think of when I think of my grandmother and, you know, the holidays and how she would make mixed rice. And I just really, really love this shade. Like all of the memories that it evokes and makes me think of. And I don't even know if those are the same kind of red beans that this would be referring to, you know? I mean, but like I said, like this is the color. This is absolutely the color, and like the on paste, and it's so perfect and spot on for that. So this particular ink formulation is very similar, I would say, to the Wolfberry. It is nice and it flows, I would say, between an average to wet flow. It's not crazy saturated, which means it is absolutely in my wheelhouse, and it just has just enough shading to make it super interesting. It is a lovely, lovely color, I think, and one that I definitely will be looking forward to using in many different pens. That's what's nice about this shade, is that it could go for a slightly warmer colored pen if you're somebody like me who likes to match inks to pens, or it could go cooler too. I think it's right in the center there, so it's very versatile. So yeah, if you are looking for a lovely unsaturated sort of wineish toned ink, make sure you check out Red Beans. I'm really enjoying it so far. It has literally been 20 minutes, and both the swatches for Wolfberry and Red Beans are still a little bit wet, which is absolutely fascinating. That usually doesn't happen. But yeah, I don't want to lose any more light because it is starting to get quite dark outside. And I want to be able to show you these fairly dry swatches. So here's Bubble Tea. Like I was saying before, it is quite subtly shading, but really beautiful. It's not super dark, but it is totally legible. I am really enjoying using it in the pen that I have it in right now, and I think it's a lovely, lovely color. Below that is the Feng Shi Ye. I think this is so interesting. I love these sort of cool toned browns. It has a little bit of green to it as well. This is another subtle shader. That actually, I think, is very much one of those kind of velvety tones. I don't know. I really, really like it. Can you see that? There's like a little bit of gold, but it still is somehow more of a cool tone brown. But I do really, really like that one. And right below that, there's my Wolfberry. I just think this color is gorgeous. I love this. and it writes really, really smoothly across the page. I mentioned before, definitely between an average to wet flow, very, very legible, not overwhelmingly saturated, but still, you know, really easy to read and just a really gorgeous color. And then below that, this one, I love this color so much. Red beans, again, not overwhelmingly saturated, but really, really beautiful, super easy to read, and one of those inks that falls again between the average to wet flow. I like this one a lot. I am 100% going to be using this quite frequently, I'm sure. And these are my very first Lennon Tool Bar inks. I am very, very happy with them and super excited to try them in all kinds of different nibs. I love these tones so much, and I definitely think I picked the right colors for my first batch because I am so enamored with all of them. If you happen to have any questions about any of these shades, please let me know. Pop those in the comments below. I will try and answer as best I can. Or if you happen to have experience with any of these colors, if you feel they work particularly well in any particular nibs or anything like that, definitely share that information. I'm always excited to hear about other people's experiences with different colors and different companies. If this video was in any way entertaining, useful, interesting, whatever, please do consider giving me a thumbs up or potentially even joining the channel. As always, thank you so, so much for joining me. I, again, love these colors and cannot wait to pick up another batch of Lennon Tool Bar. These are just such stunning shades, and I felt that way about a lot of the ones that I've seen so far in different videos and pictures, so fingers crossed that my luck will continue with the next set. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye-bye!